What's up everyone, I'm CallumOnToast, and in today's video I'm going to be showcasing my legend run in the Retro Cup with probably the least spicy team you guys have seen me run in a very long time, but still a unique and very effective team with Shadow Marowak in the lead, Dragontail and Dragonclaw Mew as the say swap, and Aurorus as the closer. Now before running this team I gave a few meme teams a try, and unfortunately they all went horribly wrong. I had multiple 0-5s, it felt like everything I tried just failed miserably. I was getting super frustrated and I decided, you know what, let's put together an actual strong team for once, but make sure I'm still using underutilized Pokemon in the meta, and I did 11 sets with this team in total and gained 340 elo with it to hit legend in just 2 days. Now Marowak is a super strong Pokemon in that lead matchup, in basically any neutral matchup, and especially in positive matchups, and then Mew throws a lot of people off guard, and as a say swap can often gain a shield advantage or switch advantage potentially, but Aurorus was the MVP of this team by far and was an absolute monster of a closer in the meta, especially if you can give it a shield advantage, which Mew was often able to do. With that being said, let's just get into the question of the day. What has been your MVP or most valuable Pokemon to use this season? Let me know in the comment section down below, and with that being said, let's get into the battles now. Alright, so go into the first battle, and these battles are somewhat in order. I think for the most part they are in order. So we're starting off in the 2600 elo range. We're going to say swap into Mew, and typically I did not shield my Mew say swap. But in this circumstance, I'm thinking, you know what, we kind of have to shield there. We're going to bait out a Dunsparce, and this is perfect. This is exactly what we want. We're going to go straight for the Wild Charge here. We throw on CMP, so that way, if the opponent does throw immediately, then of course, we're debuffed now. Whatever they throw will definitely get the KO. But we've also put them into range where Shadow Marowak can come in and go for a full Mudslap farm down. We will, of course, tank one Drill Run, but it doesn't really matter too much. We get the full farm down. We come out with a Rock Slide loaded. We could have thrown it straight away, but instead, we swap immediately into the Aurorus, and we're met with Cresselia. So unfortunately not really a great matchup for us all round in this battle so far, but we do grab a shield with the Meteor Beam. I should actually be able to live a Grass Knot, but I'm going to shield the first charge move. As the opponent goes for the Grass Knot there, they're able to outpace me to the next charge move, but that's okay. Grass Knot number 2 coming through does get us fairly low, but I'm able to make it to back-to-back Weather Balls. So first one is going to grab the final shield from the opponent. The opponent tries to snipe, or either that or catch a charge move on the Dragonite, but it backfires. I'm able to make it to another charge move, and now Shadow Marowak at back-to-back Bone Clubs. First one is going to do some decent damage. The second one looks like a CMP tite as well, so perfect for me. Bone Club number 2 gets the KO, and I'm able to take that game. So GG to opponent there into the next battle. We can see Shadow Marowak into Clodsire. So a great matchup for us. The opponent say swaps into a Shadow Feraligatr. Now you might be looking at the team thinking, well, all 3 Pokemon do lose to Feraligatr, but actually it doesn't really matter too much because we can just stay in this matchup to shield if we want to and go for a full Mudslap farm down up against the Shadow Feraligatr, and that's exactly what we're going to go for here. Of course, these Shadow Claws, they're not really chunking that much. They do get me into the yellow health range, but we come out with a charge move loaded. And ground plus rock coverage is very strong, and we're actually going to bank the energy completely. I swap into my Mew. Basically, I was hoping the opponent would just swap out straight away into Clodsire, of course. My Aurorus is going to have a great matchup up against Jumpluff, although if they do have a lot of energy, then that can be very tricky for us. But we don't throw a charge move here. Instead, we basically force them to throw their Aerial Ace as soon as they get there. They will still be able to farm me down, and honestly, I thought I was at the Wild Charge there. I was not. It doesn't really make a difference because still they're going to go down to 1 Weather Ball from the Aurorus. But either way, we come in with the Aurorus. I'm expecting as soon as they throw the charge move, they will swap into their Clodsire. So we are going to swap straight away into Marowak. They did actually go for 1 fast move before swapping there. But either way, we were ready. We can go for 1 Bone Club, fire off the next Bone Club immediately. And this should actually put them into range where we can just go for a full Mudslap farm down, taking out the Clodsire, coming out with another Rock Slide already loaded. And Rock Slide from this range will get the KO up against the Jumpluff, and I'm able to take that game. So GG top opponent there into next battle. We're going to see Oranguru in the lead. So this is a fairly neutral matchup. Of course, Trailblaze is going to hit for super effective damage. So what I'm going to do is go 1 over the Bone Club and then fire off the Bone Club. This is good timing up against a Confusion user. And then we're going to swap. We're going to try to catch a Trailblaze. Now, unfortunately for me, a lot of times opponents did bait with a Brutal Swing, which doesn't really help me out there because that is super effective damage. But they're going to come in with a Shadow Feraligatr once again. Shadow Feraligatr, a little bit tricky for us, especially since they get a huge farm down up against my Mew, but again, they're just going to take so much damage from these mud slaps that actually, again, we can just go for a 2 shield and go for a full farm down. With the mud slap damage here, we are going to commit both shields, go for the farm down, and we just barely get the farm down, but we do get the farm down. They're going to come back in with the Oranguru. I'm going to go for 1 mud slap, fire off the Bone Club. Bone Club gets the KO, and they come in, and unfortunately, it's Annihilate in the bag, and there's just nothing we can do here. Of course, if you do see a fighting type in the bag, then it doesn't matter how many shields you save for your Aurorus, you will be losing that battle. But honestly, I didn't see too many of them in the bag. A lot of them were in the lead, which was maybe a little bit fortunate for me, but I think maybe just generally that's how people have built their teams. But either way, GG's to opponent there into the next battle. A very favorable lead for us as they lead with a Charger Bug. They're going to go and throw a Charge Move immediately. We're now going to go for Rockside. Rockside grabs a shield there. So at this point, I'm definitely going to match shields, and I can now just commit to the Bone Club here. Bone Club should be enough damage to get the KO, but they actually swap into Dunsparce, and this is also a positive matchup for us. So Marowak really popping off in this battle, and we're able to make it to another Bone Club. We throw on the CMP tie. Bone Club is going to be no shielded by the opponent. At this point, I possibly could have shielded and committed to a full mud slap farm down. Instead, I'm going to let it go down, and unfortunately, because these Dragon Tails are non-stab, we actually don't get the farm down here. So maybe it would have made more sense to shield and get that farm down, but it doesn't really matter. We get the farm down with our Mew. We're going to come out with a Dragon Claw loaded, and again, another for Alligator, but it just doesn't matter. We can grab the final shield with the Wild Charge, swap into our Aurorus here, and all we have to do is make sure the opponent does not make a catch onto their Charge Bug, which should be pretty easy here, as they are probably going to swap as soon as we get to the Meteor Beam, which they do. And at this point, I actually don't even need to bother throwing. I thought maybe I'll farm up to a Weather Ball and then the Meteor Beam, but actually, no, we can just commit to a full Powder Snow farm down, come out with 100 energy. Of course, Meteor Beam going to hit for huge damage up against the Feraligatr. It gets the one shot, and I'm able to take that game. So GG Serpo there into the next battle. Going to see Serperior in the lead. So obviously not great for us. Going to say swap into our Mew, and Serperior is a little bit of a core breaker just because it's very good into Mew as well, and we've only got non-stab moves to throw, but the opponent base with an Aerial Ace. Absolutely fine with me. We're going to go for 1 Dragon Tail, fire off the Dragon Claw, and that's where Mew is just so strong. Like, opponents just have no clue what kind of charge moves we could be running, so they end up using a shield where I honestly don't think we could have thrown anything that would have been any good at 45 energy on my Mew there up against Serperior, but either way, we grab the shield advantage. We can now come in with the Marowak. They will make it to another charge move, but once again, we've seen already, this doesn't do that much damage, so we can go for a full Mud Slap farm down, and we come out with just 1 Mud Slap away from the Rock Side, and Rock Side will put them into Powder Snow farm down range, so we're able to land that, come in with the Aurorus, and they've got a Clodsire in the back, and Aurorus kind of core breaking their team right now. We can go for a Weather Ball. Weather Ball, of course, going to hit for super effective damage. There's no point throwing the next one straight away because actually from this range, Weather Ball wouldn't quite take them out, so instead, gonna use my shield, shield up the Stone Edge. I can now significantly overfarm here, go and fire off another Weather Ball. Weather Ball grabs that final shield. We're able to throw another Weather Ball, winning CMP. Weather Ball gets the KO, and of course, I will be able to outpace the Serperior to back-to-back charge moves, and I'm just going to shield this, play it safe. Aurora should be winning CMP in this matchup anyways. That looks like a CMP tie, but I think the opponent actually just gave up at this point. Yeah, you can see they've conceded the match, and I'm able to take that game. So GG top in there, into next battle, we can see a Shadow Lugia in the lead. So this is a very bad matchup for us. We're going to swap into our own Psychic Dragon Tail user, and they come in with a Licky Licky. So honestly, I didn't really bait off an awful lot with the Mew, but in this case, I do bait, and it kind of backfires because Dragon Claw doesn't do much damage. It doesn't even put them into Wild Charge range. So, of course, I didn't debuff my defense with the first move, but still a bit of a mistake there, and they're able to go for a Body Slam, not quite take us out there, and then farm us down, which is probably the worst thing for us because we don't even get much farm on the Marowak. We're going to swap into our Aurorus, and they've got a Primeape in the bag, and there's just nothing we can do at this point. I'm going to no shield, hoping it's a Rage Fist, but no, they full send the close combat, and this is certainly game over. 2 shields in play. There's no point shielding here because, of course, they can just come in with the Lugia, go for a full Dragon Tail farm down, so I'm going to let the close combat take us out. So GG to opponent there into next battle, another Shadow Lugia in the lead. So this battle was only like a couple battles after the one that I just showcased, and it's going to be the exact same team. So I don't know if someone made a video on this team, but either way, we are going to play it differently now. We know what the back Pokemon is going to be. It's going to be a Primate, which of course Aurorus is definitely going to struggle with when all shields are still in place. So at this point, I'm actually going to use a shield there. We first just went straight for the Wild Charge. Again, going straight for the Wild Charge there, grab a shield back from the opponent. And this time it's going to be completely different for us. Of course, Body Sam will take us out. They don't have any residual energy though. We can come in with the Marowak, and now we can go for a full Mud Slap farm down. And as well, we'll come out with a Rock Slide loaded. So if they come back in with the Lugia, which they do, we can full send the Rock Slide. Now, I anticipate the opponent will swap straight into their Primate there. So I actually don't make that swap this time around. And that's a huge call for me, because now we can stay in, go for one Mud Slap, fire off the Bone Club. I will only get off, I think, one more Mud Slap's worth of damage, but that should hopefully put them into range where we can just Powder Snow farm them down here. So the opponent goes for another Rage Fist. They are double boosted. These Karate Chops absolutely shredding, but we're able to get the farm down, come out with the Weather Ball loaded, and of course, Weather Ball takes out the Shadow Lugia, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's top opponent there into next battle. You can see Annihilate in the lead. So of course, we've been struggling up against fighting types in the back with our Aurorus, but in the lead is definitely where we want to see it. Now, we are going to shield this first Charge Move. If they do farm up to a potential Ice Punch, then I will shield it. They go for a Rage Fist, that's fine with me. They are going to boost up their attack, but we can go for one Mud Slap, fire off the Bone Club, and do the exact same thing once again. And this either grabs the shield, or it might just take out the Annihilate from this range. And it does grab the shield, although the opponent could commit to a full farm down here, but they don't. They fire off the Charge Move. This is fine with me. They go for a Rage Fist. We're hoping that Mew can come in and get two Dragon Tails to farm them down, otherwise they will make it to another move, and Mew gets that perfect farm down. Huge for us, as we don't have to use a shield. They come in with a Charger Bug, we're going to swap into our Aurorus, and the opponent swaps into Cresselia, but all shields are now down, so this should be pretty good for us. We're going to go straight for the Meteor Beam. Meteor Beam does huge damage, it boosts up our attack. And at this point, I'm going to shield this up. I will overfarm just slightly. I'm going to throw on the CMP tie with the next Grass Knot coming from Cresselia. I know that no one Charge Move will be enough damage to take us out from the Charger Bug, so I don't really need to come out with a move loaded, but the opponent is going to be very close to back-to-back Charge Moves. They fire off the Discharge there, not the X-Scissor. So actually, I can go for one Powder Snow, fire off the Weather Ball, dealing huge damage since we're double boosted. And at this point, this is definitely going to be in range where we can go for a Dragon Claw, but instead, since we've got the Wild Charge loaded, I'm gonna go for the BM. Wild Charge, resist the damage, but it still gets the KO up against Charger Bug, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's top opponent there into next battle, another Shadow Dragonite in the lead. So once again, gonna say swap into our Mew, and again, they're gonna stay in, fire off the Charge Move here, and I'm actually gonna no shield this time around. So playing it slightly different, you can see I tried to click on the Wild Charge, but I guess I must have tapped on the Dragon Claw earlier, and unfortunately, it just registered that first tap there. So obviously, Dragon Claw does not do much damage there. Wild Charge would have definitely been a lot better for us. But either way, we're going to come in with the Marowak. I'm going to no-shield this just because it is fairly useless up against that Dragonite. We're now going to go for a Bone Club here. Honestly, if we landed the Wild Charge, then maybe I would have shielded, so I could have preserved some more health there. But either way, we're going to come in with the Aurorus, and it's going to be Cresselia in the back once again. But this is a very different battle, as it is all even shields right now, and the opponent will just barely outpace me to the Charge Moves before I'm able to make it to the Meteor Beam. So possibly could go for a bait here, but also going for Meteor Beam is going to boost up my attack. If we don't boost our attack, then by the time I do actually land a Meteor Beam, it won't be enough damage to get the KO, so I'm kind of forced to go for these Meteor Beams anyways. At this point, I'm going to shield. I'm expecting the opponent will throw another Grass Knot and then try and catch a move onto their Dragonite once again. And once again, this is not going to be enough damage to get the KO, but it does get us incredibly low. The opponent actually able to snipe with the Dragon Breath damage from a Shadow Dragonite, which is very unfortunate for the Aurorus, but unfortunately we do lose that game. So GG's top opponent there into next battle, going to see a Primate in the lead, and if they ever farm up to a potential close combat, I'm definitely going to respect it. A lot of them did actually just full send the close combat, which is pretty good for me because I shield that, and it forces them to swap out because they are, of course, going to double debuff their defense, and as well, they swap into a Pokemon which Marowak does very well into in the form of a Dunsparce. So I'm going to farm up to back-to-back Charge Moves here, possibly could have gone for one extra Mud Slap and thrown on CMP, and the opponent no shields. I think they're in one Mud Slap farm down range, so possibly that would have been better for us, but I end up grabbing a shield anyways from the Dunsparce. So at this point, I'm just going to let it go down. They go for the draw run, it gets the KO. I'm actually going to come in with my Aurorus here, which seems like an interesting decision. They're just going to come back in with the Primeape, but I can just go straight for a Weather Ball here, and if we grab a shield, I'm going to swap immediately into my Mew. So Weather Ball is going to grab the shield, we swap into the Mew, and the opponent does make it to a charge move. Of course, Rage Fist is going to hit for super effective damage. First one, going to do less damage than the second one, but at this point, I'm just going to put it all in my Aurorus, once again, hoping we can sweep, and they've got a Oranguru in the back. So this is going to be a little bit tricky for us, but I will definitely just shield the first charge move coming from the Oranguru. They go for the Trailblaze there. We're going to go for one Powder Snow, fire off the Meteor Beam, and I'm hoping we can commit to a full Powder Snow farm down, and we will just barely get that farm down there, coming out with the Weather Ball loaded, and of course Weather Ball from this range up against the Primeape, able to get the KO, and I'm able to take that game. So GG Turbo there, into the next battle, a Pidgeot in the lead. So of course, not a very good matchup for us. Going to say swap into the Mew, and the opponent's going to stay in with their Pidgeot, and then eventually swap into their Dunsparce. So this is fine with me, and once again, I will throw a Wild Charge just as they're reaching the drill run. The opponent lets that through, and they're going to throw immediately. This is perfectly fine with me. Even in this case, like, the opponent is going to throw their Charge Move straight away, but we can just come in with the Marowak, commit 0 shields, and go for a huge farm down. And of course, Rock Slide going to be very good coverage up against the Pidgeot coming back in. So gonna go for one Mudslap, fire off the Rock Slide here. If the opponent doesn't throw straight away, I will make it to a second Rock Slide, and this is probably gonna grab the final shield from the opponent. So at this point, I'm happy to swap into my Aurorus, and at this point, the opponent's going to swap into a Gallade. Now, of course, they have Leaf Blade, they have Close Combat, but it doesn't matter. We've got a 2 shield advantage. They fire off the Leaf Blade, fine with me. At this point, I'm going to continue to overfarm. We throw on CMP, which might seem like a mistake, but actually, I intend on undercharging this anyway. So Meteor Beam, it's resisted damage, it still does huge damage, but we get the full farm down there. We come out with the Weather Ball loaded, and the opponent might actually go and debuff my attack, but no, they full send the Brave Bird there. It's still resisted, so Aurorus able to hang on pretty comfortably. Weather Ball gets the KO, and I'm able to take that game. So GG Turbo there, into the next battle, we can see a Tropius in the lead. So of course, not very good for us. Once again, gonna say swap into our Mew, and Tropius does have access to Brutal Swing this season, although honestly it doesn't do much more damage than a Leaf Blade, so you could argue that Leaf Blade and Aerial Ace is still the way to go. But either way, we're gonna bait out a Licky, and once again, this is fine with me. Gonna fire off the Wild Charge. Wild Charge does big damage, and again, it basically forces the opponent to throw straight away, as they do not want to tank a second Wild Charge, or obviously have to use their shield there. So we're going to come in with the Marowak. They do actually overfarm quite a lot. I do not want to be hit with a Solar Beam, so I'm actually just going to throw the energy there, which might be a mistake. Maybe I could have committed to a full farm down, but either way, they're going to come in with a Tropius. We swap into our Aurorus, and they've got a Dunsparce in the back. Now, if I'm able to land a Meteor Beam, then I can just instantly flip this matchup. I will have to use both my shields though, because Meteor Beam not going to do that much damage here, but it will of course boost up the attack, and it will put them into Powder Snow farm down range. Now here, I realized I could make it to a Weather Ball. That's quite a smart play from the opponent there, going for the extra rollout, because now I'm going to have to shield this, but I should still be able to go for a full Powder Snow farm down. Tropius does of course have very close to a charge move loaded. I think they are now 1 air slash away, so we go for the Weather Ball. Weather Ball is going to grab that final shield. We then swap, we make the catch onto my Marowak, but this might actually be a mistake here, because Leaf Blade puts us into a perfect air slash farm down range, where I'm only going to make it to a single Rock Slide. Now Rock Slide, super effective damage, but it doesn't get the KO there. We don't even make it to a Bone Club, and as a result, the opponent comes out with a Leaf Blade loaded. Now, if we just stayed in with the Aurorus, I would have landed one more boosted Powder Snow, and that boosted Powder Snow could have been the difference between Marowak actually taking them out with a Rock Slide, and of course, not taking them out there. But GG's to the opponent into the next battle. Gonna see a Medicham in the lead. They are on Psycho Cut, so very fast to make it to those Ice Punches. I'm going to go for the Bone Club, and then I will swap immediately into my Mew, and the opponent's going to swap at the same time, but they swap into Goodra, and this is a very good matchup for the Mew. We're going to go straight for the Dragon Claw. Dragon Claw is going to be no shielded, and Mew can also no shield since they don't make it to a potential Draco Meteor. Aqua Tail going to do some decent damage there, and it does actually put us into potential farm down range for the Medicham, which might be scary, but the opponent's actually just going to throw their energy straight away. Now here I just turned up the brightness on my screen, I couldn't really see much. We're going to come in with the Aurorus. I'm predicting it's going to be a double dragon team, so I might as well get a huge energy advantage as the opponent full sends a dynamic punch, and it is a double dragon team. It's Shadow Dragonite in the back. There is no hope for the opponent right now as we go for a Meteor Beam, buffing up our attack. They're still going to throw a charge move anyways, it doesn't really matter at this point, but I'm going to shield. They go for the superpower there. And at this point, the opponent's just going to concede the match, as Superpower would, of course, taken us out. And maybe they thought they could have Dragon Breath farmed us down, but that wouldn't have been the case. So GG's to opponent there into next battle. And this time, the opponent safe swaps into a Shadow Dragonite. And of course, I'm going to have to use a shield here, but I can come out with a ton of energy. And Aurorus' energy is just so deadly in this meta. We still got over half our HP remaining as well. So if they come back in with the Dunsparce, we go for one Powder Snow, fire off the Meteor Beam. And if they no-shield this, it's going to do huge damage, but we can still outpace them to a Weather Ball before they make it to the next charge move. So Weather Ball coming through, the opponent no shields, it just gets the KO, and they come in with a Shadow Dragonair. So this game is absolutely over. We're going to fire for Weather Ball, swap into my Mew, and at this point, there's just nothing they can do here. The opponent realizes that, so they don't throw any charge moves. They get fully Dragon Tail farm down, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to opponent there into next battle, awful lead for us as we are going to swap into our Mew, and the opponent comes in with a Licky. So once again, gonna fire off that wild charge. I always throw just before they make it to the potential Shadow Ball, and again, we're just gonna no shield. They have to go for Shadow Ball though. Body Slam will not cut it, and it will force them to throw another charge move. So again, perfectly fine with me. Body Slam gets the KO there. We can come in with the Marowak, and if they do farm up to a potential Solar Beam, then I will respect it, but this is certainly not that. So gonna no shield, they go for the Shadow Ball there. We can now over farm. I'm going to farm up to a Bone Club and a Rock Slide, so that way when we take them out with the Bone Club, I also have a Rock Slide to throw into the Jumpluff, coming straight back in. And then of course I'm going to swap into my Aurorus immediately here. This is a non-Shadow Jumpluff, so that Rock Slide really didn't do much damage, but it's going to be a double roll-up backline with Dunsparce in the back, and we've seen already with a shield advantage, Aurorus just absolutely destroys Dunsparce here as we actually grab the shield with the Meteor Beam, which means a second Meteor Beam with that boost will get the KO. Of course, I'm going to have to use both my shields here, but that's perfectly fine with me. We're now going to overfarm as much as possible, fire off the Meteor Beam, and of course, with that boost, Meteor Beam gets the KO. We are double boosted at this point, so of course, going straight for the Weather Ball, and Weather Ball double super effective, easily gets the one shot up against the Jumpluff, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's Turbo there into next battle, another Medicham in the lead. So of course, gonna stay in this matchup initially, wait for them to throw an Ice Punch, and then go for one Mudslap, fire off the Bone Club, and then again swap into my Mew. So the opponent goes for the Ice Punch there, we're gonna go for that Mudslap, go for the Bone Club, and then of course they do have the energy for a second Ice Punch right now, so we swap into Mew, but the opponent's gonna come in with a Farret. Now Farret, not great for us, we're actually gonna bait with a Dragon Claw here, a little bit risky for us, and it doesn't pay off there. Honestly, I've said this multiple times, just go straight for the Wild Charge with the Mew there, and we don't do it, and as a result, we're not going to flip switch advantage. They get a huge farm down. At this point, I kind of just have to sacrifice the Marowak. I'm hoping they're just going to go straight for a Brick Break here, so I'm going to no shield, and the opponent is going to go and full send the Hyper Beam, getting the KO there, and they still make it to a Brick Break, which we kind of have to shield. It's double super effective. I mean, technically we would live that, but they've got a double kick, double in the back anyway, so there's just no hope for Aurorus, unfortunately. Meteor Beam goes unshielded, it does big damage, but it just doesn't matter at this point. We're gonna no shield, the opponent full sends the Payback gets the KO, and unfortunately we do lose that game. But GG's top over there into next battle, another Jumpluff in the lead, this time a Shadow form, and we are going to safe swap into the Mew, and they're staying in this time, so this is fine with me. The opponent is going to go for an Energy Ball before swapping, and again they're going to come in with a rollout user, so it might be the same team here with double rollout users in the back, but either way, we're going to fire off the Wild Charge on the potential CMP tie. The opponent doesn't throw any energy though, they're committing to a full farm down, which means I'm able to make it to a second Wild Charge, and again, we've grabbed the shield advantage. We can come in with the Marowak, and I should be able to go for a huge Mudslap farm down. They will make it to back-to-back drill runs, but it doesn't really matter. They've got a Jumpluff in the back, so I don't really mind tanking both the drill runs here, going for that Mudslap farm down, and let's see, they come in with the Jumpluff. They actually make a very nice catch there. catching a resisted rock side onto their Quagsire, but actually this is fine with me. We can go for the Bone Club and they no shield that, so now we can just come in with the Aurorus. I can double shield, commit to a full Powder Snow farm down, and I'm going to come out with back-to-back Weather Balls already loaded to throw into the Jump Bluff coming back in. So of course going to commit the final shield there, go for that Powder Snow farm down. I did think about going for Meteor Beam first just to boost up my attack, but it doesn't really matter. Weather Ball goes unshielded by the opponent. We're able to get the Powder Snow farm down, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's up over there. Into the next battle, we can see a Toxapex in the lead. So a great matchup for us. The opponent's going to say swap into an Arctopax. Now honestly, I possibly should have stayed in initially and fired off a Bone Club there. But either way, we come in with the Mew. We are behind on energy though, so that does make it a little bit tricky for us. Which means actually if they want to, they can commit both their shields and farm us down. Oh sorry, not commit both the shields and farm us down, but they can grab both of our shields if we want to maintain alignment. So instead, I actually opt to just come in with the Aurorus. I realize Aurorus is going to resist the poison jab damage from that Toxapex. It's probably going to be a double dragon team, so it doesn't really matter with me because we can now just go for the Meteor Beam here, and Meteor Beam again going to boost up our attack, going to do big damage, and it does over 50% of their HP already, and now we're boosted, so the next one will definitely get the KO here. I'm going to massively over farm in this matchup. The opponent is going to make a very nice catch though, catching it onto Hakamoa, but it doesn't matter now. That does over 50% of their HP resisted damage, and now we can fire off a Weather Ball. Weather Ball is going to grab the final shield. I'm going to stay in since we are boosted, and now we can come in with the Marowak. I can just safely no shield whatever they throw here. Nothing they can hit me with is going to do any meaningful damage, and now we've got the Bone Club loaded, but I figured I might as well go for the extra Mud Slap here, even if they were at back-to-back brines, which they're not. Of course, we would win CMP anyway, so we go for the extra Mud Slap, we go for the Bone Club, the opponent just concedes the match, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's up over there. Into the next battle, going to see a Digger's Beat in the lead. So this is kind of dependent on whether they get a debuff with the Scorching Sands. I'm going to no-shield the first charge move, and the opponent's going to go for that Scorching Sands, and they do get the debuff there, so that's not really ideal for me, and it kind of makes me not want to throw the next Bone Club, so I'm going to throw the first one, then swap straight away into my Mute, and I'm hoping they just don't debuff me again, because that definitely would not be ideal, and they don't debuff me this time, which is very nice, but they swap into Serperior, which isn't really great for us. We have farmed up a ton of energy though. I was thinking maybe we could grab a shield there, but we do at least force the opponent to throw their energy straight away. Aerial Ace will get the KO, which is not ideal for us, but either way, we're going to come in with the Aurorus. They did throw straight away, so I can actually go for one extra Powder Snow here, knowing that if they want to go for a Frenzy Plant, it will take 6 Flying Whips to get to. So Weather Ball is going to be shielded by the opponent, and the opponent's going to go and bait with an Aerial Ace. So this time we can only over farm by 5, but once again gonna throw on the CMP tie here. Weather Ball is going to grab the final shield from the opponent, so this point I'm thinking they are clearly weak to Aurorus in the back, so we're going to shield that up here, and they're only going to make it to an Aerial Ace, but I figured since they've done a lot of Vine Whip damage, I might as well make a catch there onto my Marowak, but they've got a Dugong in the back, and whilst Aurorus has a good matchup up against Dugong, a Meteor Beam just barely doesn't get the one shot from full health, and these Powder Snows, they are double resisted, so unfortunately, they will make it to the draw run. Draw run gets the KO, and unfortunately, we do lose that game. But GG's top on there, very well played. Into the next battle, you can see a Shadow Dragonair in the lead. So I'm just going to stay in this matchup. We've of course got 2 Pokemon that are very good up against Dragon-type Pokemon. But actually, if they throw an alignment, which they did there, I can commit to a huge Mud Slap farm down, and they come in with a Licky Licky. So at this point, I figured there's no point throwing the next Charge Reef here because I can get to back-to-back Bone Clubs, but it will be a CMP tie, which means I won't get off both Bone Clubs there. So instead, what we're going to do is swap into Mew, make the catch, and we see an opposing Shadow Kanto Marowak. So honestly, I didn't really see too many of them. I also didn't see too many Aurorus either, which is why I did run this team, because whilst they are 2 very strong Pokemon, they felt very underrepresented in the meta, and it felt like a pretty unique team on my end. But now we're going to come in with the Aurorus. I'm going to use my shield here, of course. I'm then going to overfarm as much as I can, or if the opponent tries to swap into their Licky Licky, I'm just going to full send the Meteor Beam straight away. Meteor Beam nearly gets the one shot. We get the farm down there, and now we're going to swap. We've got back-to-back charge moves here, so if the opponent tries to throw their energy straight away, that's fine, because Aurorus will outpace them to the next move, or if they try to commit to a full Mud Slap farm down, I'm able to throw both Bone Clubs, taking out the Marowak, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's up on there. Into next battle, we're going to see a Primate in the lead. So again, if they do farm up to the potential close combat, I will respect it. And if they do go for a Rage Fist bait, then that's okay. I will let the next one go through. But they do full send the close combat. They then swap into a Rangaroo. So I'm going to go for the Bone Club. Bone Club does some decent damage. Going to throw the next one straight away. And then I will actually stay in here and try and catch a Trailblaze onto my Mew. But honestly, I probably should have swapped out sooner here because the opponent is going to go for the Brutal Swing. So didn't really work out for me with that catch. They come back in with the Primate, and here you might think, why on earth did you not throw a Charge Move there? Honestly, I can't really tell you. I was thinking that it's going to be a Dragonite in the back because I think it was Taffy Star who showcased this team. But honestly, you know what I'm thinking, like at this point, just hope that Aurorus can sweep in the end game. And it is a Pokemon double weak to the ice typing, but unfortunately it is a much bulkier Pokemon in the form of Jumpluff. I did consider no shielding, but honestly, they're going to full stun the Energy Ball there. Can we make it to back-to-back Weather Balls? It's going to be very close here. We go for the first one, and we're not quite there just yet, so we throw, but that looks like a CMP tie. And if they're at the Energy Ball, then unfortunately, I don't think Aurorus will be able to tank this move here, at least not with the IVs that I'm running, and Energy Ball does get the KO there, and unfortunately we do lose that game. But GG's to opponent there. I think that was definitely a very winnable game for us there, but I just misplayed with the Mew. Not throwing a Charge Move at all up against the Primate was a very odd decision. But either way, into next battle, and unfortunately met with Serperior in the lead. They then land the Frenzy Plant this time around, not baiting with the Aerial Ace. They swap into Dugong. We go for a Wild Charge there. At this point, I think we're just going to come in with the Marowak, basically just sacrifice it because it can't do much up against that Serperior. So we're just going to sponge the energy from an Icy Wind, then swap into Aurorus there. And at this point, a lot of Dugong that I faced didn't go for Icy Wind baits, which is very nice for me. But even if they did, we can just boost up our attack once again with a Meteor Beam. So I guess it doesn't really matter too much. But Meteor Beam gets the one shot up against the Dugong, and they have their own Aurorus. So I was just mentioning how I didn't really see many Aurorus, but of course in this battle, we're seeing it here, but they are down on energy. They can bait me, but I think I'll still be able to outpace them to the next Meteor Beam. So they go for the Weather Ball. I'm just going to throw it immediately, and we're able to outpace them to the Meteor Beam, of course. We're already double boosted. Meteor Beam easily gets the one shot there. I'm able to outpace the Serperior to the Weather Ball, and of course triple boosted. Weather Ball easily gets the KO up against Serperior, and I'm able to take that game. So that just showcases the insane closing power of Aurorus if you can get it into the right matchups. But into the next battle, we're going to see Arctopax in the lead here, and again, I'm not going to throw a Charge Move until they throw, because if they throw it as soon as they get to an Icy Wind, they will throw it on alignment, or if they throw it as soon as they get to a Dragon Claw, they're also going to throw it on alignment. So either way, pretty good for me. We do go down a shield, but that's fine. We're going to swap into our Mew, and we've seen already a few people landing a Brutal Swing. It does some okay damage, but they will have to throw a second Charge Move. There is no way they can go for a full Confusion Farm down. So what we're going to do is throw a Wild Charge on the CMP tie. A little bit risky here for us, but they do throw it immediately. So Wild Charge grabs that shield back from the Oranguru. They go for a Brutal Swing once again. At this point, we're going to wait out the switch shot, come in with the Aurorus. I'm thinking it's probably going to be Giraffe Freak in the back, as I did see this team quite a lot of times, at least in the early Retro Cup meta. But we're going to shield this. They go for the Trailblaze. We can now overfarm quite considerably. I was going to go for Meteor Beam initially, but at this point we can just go straight for Weather Ball. Weather Ball gets the KO, and they've actually got a Dunsparce in the back, so not the Giraffe Freak that I was expecting, but either way, it does not matter, as I can still outpace them to the Weather Ball. Now, what I shouldn't do here is swap straight away into my Marowak, as the opponent might predict that and throw immediately, which they do, but I don't swap out there, which means Drill Run gets the KO. But now we can just come in with the Marowak, go straight for a Bone Club, and of course, from this range, Bone Club gets the KO, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's top opponent there. Into next battle, we're going to see a Dunsparce in the lead once again. So a great matchup for us. The opponent is going to choose to stay in with their Dunsparce, and they're going to throw immediately. So this is fine with me. Going to no-shield the first move here, and how I like to play this out is I'll go for one Bone Club, and then I'll just commit to a full Mudslap farm down. I don't mind that I will come out with very low HP. I'll come out with a ton of energy. So at this point, going to no-shield this. They go for a Drill Run. Actually, that does slightly more damage than I was expecting it to. And I wasn't entirely sure if the opponent was going to be able to farm me down there. So instead, we actually swap out. I do bank the energy. We've got back-to-back Bone Clubs loaded on the Marowak, which is very nice. They're going to come in with a Toxapex, and we are running Wild Charge. Wild Charge is going to grab a shield from the opponent, and that's fine with me. I'm going to shield this up just because I can make it to another Wild Charge and potentially grab the final shield from this Toxapex, or if they don't shield this, then of course they're going to go very low on the Toxapex. They can go for a full farm down, but that's okay with me. We're going to come in with the Marowak, and I should still live that poison jab damage, so Bone Club will not get the KO. They swap into their own Marowak, but this is fine with me. Bone Club will do some big damage. We can now come in with the Aurorus, and I can commit to a, well, I should be able to commit to a full Powder Snow farm down, but actually I'm thinking, you know what, Toxapex is pretty low. I might as well play it safe here. I'm not certain if I'd get the, or if the opponent will get damage registration error. So we go for a Weather Ball, we go for another Weather Ball into the Toxapex coming back in. They are very low on HP, but they actually lived that. I thought they were lower than they were, so that's a huge mistake for me. I should have just gone for the full farm down and then throw a Meteor Beam, but as a result, they can Poison Jab, farm down my Marowak, and we do end up losing that game. So GG Turbo there into the final battle of this video, and by the way, if I won that previous battle, then I would have been guaranteed, I think, a 4-on-1 with that set, and then I would of course hit Legend on that set, which is very frustrating. And at this point I'm thinking, oh man, I need to win this game. We're going to go straight for the Wild Charge once again. Wild Charge is going to be no shielded, and the opponent over farms, allowing me to make it to a second Wild Charge. Wild Charge number 2 is going to be shielded this time around, and that's just what Mew does. It either grabs a shield advantage, or it puts them into farm down range for my Marowak, or in this case it does both here. So we can come back in with the Marowak, go for a huge Mud Slap farm down again. We are going to get a huge farm down before they even make it to a second charge move there. And they're going to come back in with a Jumpluff. This time they don't make any catches onto a Quagsire. We go straight for Rockslide. Rockslide does big damage. We swap into our Aurorus. And again, Aurorus core breaking a team as they come in with a Clodsire. So again, we're going to go straight for the Weather Ball. Weather Ball is going to put them into the yellow health range. And again, we're not going to throw that second one straight away. There's no point throwing here because we're not going to take them out. So instead, I'm going to overfire to at least over 2 Weather Balls. Fire off Weather Ball number 2. Weather Ball will be enough damage to get the KO. And at this point, it's going to be game over. The opponent instantly recognizes it, so they concede the match. So GG's top opponent there, and we do go 4-1 in that final set, and we are able to hit Legend, getting to 3027 ELO. So that's going to be it for today's video. If you did enjoy it, please make sure you leave a like, leave a comment letting me know, and as well, don't forget to respond to the question of the day if you haven't done so already. And if you want to see more content like this in the future, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on post notifications. That way you'll be notified whenever I upload a new video. And if you want to take your support even further, you can now become a channel member with perks including early access to new videos, shoutouts at the end of each video, custom loyalty badges, and custom emojis to use in the comments. I want to say a massive thank you to everyone that has already become a channel member. Your support is greatly appreciated, and with that being said, thank you all so much for watching today's video, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.